Hey, what's up, guys? It is Rapmark here. So, doing my review for Hocus Pocus 2. A little bit behind schedule, but you know what? We're getting it done. So, anyway, um, what did I think of this second movie? Uh, well, I think the first word to use is disappointing. Um, so, I will say I did like the sisters themselves. Once again, they were super funny, super kooky. But for like they tried so hard to soften them up. I mean, when you have the first one, like these, these three, they're terrible people. You know, they literally lure children to their place in the woods to to essentially drink their souls out, so they can be younger. And in this one, it's like there is nothing. Like in the first one, they literally show a girl having her soul sucked out. They literally have a child being killed on screen, and then her brother is turned into a cat. And then it literally shows them being hanged. Like, I don't think that the original Hocus Pocus, is like the greatest movie, but I think it's super fun to watch. I do watch it. Well, I can't say I watch it every Halloween. I do every October. I'll say is probably the best way of putting it. I do watch it at least once a year. Uh, and it's super fun. While at the same time, like having a cast of characters that you like, well set up stakes, and it kind of makes sense. But yeah, this one was like all over the place. Like, first of all, they are like way softened up. And I like the ones that played them as children. I'm just like, I don't know what to think of you. This is a bit bizarre. I mean, it does give context, but at the same time, it's just like, come on, you don't need to like humanize all of your villains. Like that is so ridiculous. I mean, good grief. Like I can get adding context, but I mean at the end, like as kids they're not like terrible, they're just, they hate the church and they swear, but oh man. And then the whole thing at the beginning, how they get their powers, it's tied into this ridiculous concept, like, and it really ties it in. So apparently, if you are 16 and a woman, whatever, some other special stuff, like if you are a witch, your powers will manifest. And good grief, it just turns out that the team, they're the new team, they're witches, and their whole story is completely nonsensical in my in my opinion. It literally looks like something. It seems like this wasn't catered for me, for older fans. This seems like it was more catered for, younger, like Gen Zers, and because yeah, oh my gosh, it just gets super ridiculous. I mean, they do the whole duck out of water kind of thing because people from the 1600s, in modern age. But then here's where it kind of falls apart. Is they've been back since then for an entire night. And I know 1993 was a little bit ago. You may not have been alive there. I was in the third grade, so I'm a very old millennial. Just to give you context on that. Um, but yeah, in the grand scheme of like technology and stuff like that, like it's not that it wasn't that long ago. Like the fact that it amuses them that there's lights inside a building when that's clearly shown in the like things like that. I mean, you know, in the first one, it's super funny. You know, you have like the Black River's a road. They're stepping on it. It's you know, it's funny because you know that's like the original like oh from 1600s we go to modern day. You know, this one it doesn't quite work because again they did experience an entire night in this city. And another weird thing like in that movie, like their home, whatever, was still in the woods, and you know there wasn't a lot of stuff around it. I mean, I guess you can say in 30 years a city will grow, but I mean this thing looked like it was in this one. It looked like their home was literally like deep in the suburbs. Like we're talking complete urbanization here. And I mean, I guess it's possible, but it's it's a little weird. It just comes off a little strange. What else? Man, I could not stand the Three Teens. Like if you remember, if from the first one, you know, the original is, my goodness gracious, you had Max, Danny, and Allison. You know, and it was a fun team. There were stakes. You know, they were after his sister, so that they and the children. And in this one, it's like three teenage friends, and it's one of their 16th birthdays, and I don't know. It just felt. I don't. I won't say it sounds forced. Like there were two girls, Izzy and who and Becca. You know they. It wasn't perfect, but you know they. I did sense some chemistry between them. But man, then you get into the third friend, and it's so ridiculous. Like holy shit. And her boyfriend. Oh my gosh, this is it literally like there was a point where I'm just like face palming because it it just seems so out of place and so like you don't get the same stakes like in this one as opposed to going after children so that they can live past the night whatever they you know start off that way and then they get fooled and then they decide to go for the power spell and again you know who reads warning labels like this is it's it's so nonsensical their appearance was fun, but it seemed a little awkward because when they first, like, in the first one, there was no song and dance. This one, there was a total song and dance, and it was like, oh, okay. It was a little strange to me, as opposed to the first one where, you know, they do sing and they do dance, but it made sense within you know them casting a spell upon the crowd. You know, whereas this one is just like, where is this coming from? And then they do another thing like at a fair where it again kind of makes sense, but then it turns into this whole weird convoluted thing. So yeah, I'm just like, and once again, I loved Bette Midler. You know, she pretty much was the same character as before, with the exception of the end, which I'll get into. Uh, so yeah, Winfred, and then Mary Sanderson. She was having a lot of fun. She was one of my favorites in the original, and she's still one of my favorites this time because she looks like she's having a whole lot of fun, and that's amazing. And I've always enjoyed her character because she's goofy, but yet like evil, like wants to eat constantly say how much she wants to eat the children. It's crazy. In this one though, like the first one, Sarah, I believe that's her name in this one as well. Yeah, Sarah Sanderson. Uh, Sarah Jessica Parker. She seemed like she had way more personality, way more of a point. Ditzy, but at the same time lustful. Um, and she's the one that would lure the children with her voice. In this one, it just she didn't. She seemed to just be like just an empty shell of what she was in the first one. Like there was there was some silliness there. There was a joke of spread out, and she like just starts stretching. But it was a lot of the humor was just so cringe. It's just like, man, you are trying so hard, but it's just like this just seems like a movie that's made for Gen X. This is not meant for older fans, because man, this is redonkulous. But yeah, I wish she had more of a character in this movie, because it just seemed like she was kind of pointless. And yeah, I was not a fan of that. Um, and like I said, the humor just wasn't there. Like so much of the humor is, they try to base it around, you know, stuff on the first one, and some of them hit. I'll grant it that, but a lot of it's just like you're trying way too hard. Like it wasn't funny. It's just like let's let's take the first one and all the humor and put it in this one, but without doing anything, and having a horrible story written, whatever. Oh my gosh, it just it made me so sad, because I wanted to like this so much more. I wasn't expecting, blockbuster, 9 10s. I was at least hoping for a 6 or a 7, but oh my gosh, it was. I mean, even Billy makes a return here, and he's not as funny as he was in the first one. And then there's this whole thing, like in the first one, how Billy and Winnie were lovers, but then Sarah's like was fooling around with him, and so she poisoned him, and then it turns out that no, he only shared a kiss and had no feelings for Winnie at all, and it's just in this one, it, I don't even know what they're doing with him in this one. It's a weird sort of, he's almost like a plot device. He is in fact a plot device. And that's about it. Like, he's not even really a character. He's just a plot device. And I'm just like, oh, come on, you did him dirty. And then you have the store owner. Once again, I mean, this guy tricks three teenage girls into lighting another black candle, which the book showed him how to make, to bring these witches back. And it's just like, what are you doing, bro? And he's kind of it's kind of shady. It's really, really, shady and bad. But they turn him into the comic relief, and then I don't know. It was super. Uh, I don't know. I have no idea what they were trying to go for in this movie. I really don't. Like it seems like they're trying to feel feel the nostalgia, but not do any of the writing to get there. Like you don't deserve it. And oh, these three, it's all tied together with this whole thing of sisterhood and like magic is meant to be shared, and then they walk off doing the whole Sanderson dance, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Oh my gosh, why are you hurting me like this? Oh, and I almost forgot. There's a sort of like a mother witch, whatever, um, that can change into a crow. Like was gonna eat them at first, but then decided not to. And that is played by a Hannah Waddingham. Okay, so yeah, she plays Rebecca in Apple TV, Ted Lasso. All right, but man, she has nothing to do in this, and apparently, like, I don't know if that's sequel baiting or what it is. I really hope not. I do not want to see them create another disaster like this because, jeez, it's like the old Disney films. Like, you remember how we loved The Little Mermaid? We loved The Lion King. And then they made like three or four sequels to those, and they all were super bad and just got worse as it went along. Uh, yeah, that's kind of what this would feel like if they were to make another one, and I really hope they don't. I really hope they don't. Anyway, so where would I give this one? Um, I mean, I did like the sisters. Some of the humor did hit, but on the whole, it was disappointing. The story was totally like bonkers, and I was not a fan of the team. It didn't feel like the stakes were as high. It felt like the stakes were all over the place, to be honest. And yeah, so 4 out of 10 is what I'd give this. This is probably not worth your time, unless your kids really want to see it, and then it's all right. But I'm not one. For me myself, this movie just didn't do it. It wasn't it. Like the first one, I would have given a 7. Again, it's not a perfect movie. It's definitely got its faults, but it is still super enjoyable, and it's essentially a cult classic at this point. I love watching that movie. This one ain't it. I'm sorry. This one is kind of a disaster. So, yeah, 4 out of 10. So I'm going to go, and we'll be back. I'll be back for spoilers here in just a minute. So I'll see you then, guys. Hey, what's up, guys? It is Rapmark here. So the spoiler section of Hocus Pocus 2. So let's just get right into it. It starts off in the 1653 in Salem. The three sisters are young, and some reverend, like their parents are dead. The reverend's trying to marry Winfred off, and because she refuses to get married to the person that he wants her to, he essentially banishes her, takes his sisters, and then the spider like causes commotion, and it's just so over the top. Jeez, it was so ridiculous, and I don't know how I felt about about these child actors, to be actresses, to be honest. But they escape into the woods. That's where they meet the mother witch, who comes gonna eat, suck their souls out first, but then decides, because Winnie is 16 and her power has come through, and she likes her, so she gives her a book, and then takes off and essentially warns them against ever using the power spell. And it's just like, well, there's that. So, back in 2022, 29 years after, almost 30 years from the last movie. Jeez. All right, anyway, so 29 years after that incident, so Becca and Izzy, they are going to celebrate Becca's 16th birthday. There is established a third friend, a Cassie Trask, who you find out later is related to the stupid Reverend Trask from way back when. And they're estranged. And why are they estranged? Because she has a boyfriend who is an idiot. He's not very likable. And yeah, he makes fun of the fact that these Izzy and Becca do witchcraft stuff, and calls them weird, and he doesn't even realize that he's being rude, and it's just like I just couldn't stand the boyfriend. I'm just like, why the hell are you with this guy? I don't get it. Again, I think it's for Gen Z. This is definitely not for someone who is just like, what are you doing? This is crazy. Oh, this is such high school bullshit drama that makes no sense to someone like me. But whatever. Anyway, they go to the magic shop, which is the Sanderson Cottage, which is deep in the suburbs somehow. I mean, 30, maybe, I don't know, but it just seems super weird again that it's so deep into the suburbs at this point, instead of when 30 years ago it was still a way into the woods. But anyway, it is run by a Gilbert, who they sort of place as someone who saw the Sanderson sisters and then saw them die and blow up, and now he wants to bring them back. He apparently, the book, he wasn't in the first one. They just sort of retconned him into there. But yeah, he found the book, and it taught him how to make another black flame candle, because it wants Winnie back. And so he did, and you find out later he actually made 2 candles in another sequel bait, and I'm just like, please no. Please no, don't do this. Anyway, so yeah, the birthday ritual. So they light it, and it's a black flame candle, and because they're both virgins, because they're 16 and it's Disney Plus, I don't know, it's super weird. In the first one, Max was made fun, it was played upon, it was mentioned all the time. This one, this time, it's there and it's gone, and I'm just like, ugh. And the only other mention to a virginity is Gilbert. He can't light the black flame candle because he's not a virgin, and I'm just, it's just, and that's it. That's the only 2 times where you hear it referenced, and it's just like, come on now. But yeah, they come back, and there's this weird song and dance, which that Miller, she's a good singer. She loves to sing. But again, in the first one, it kind of made sense. In this one, it just doesn't. It doesn't make sense. It almost feels like you're watching, a really cheap play on television or something. I just don't understand. But anyway, so they fool them into Walgreens after they said they won't be fooled by teenagers again. Uh, and it was kind of funny watching them eat the makeup and the masks. It was, and then after that, you find out again how Gilbert saw them and whatever. So they decide, instead of making potion to swallow the things of children so they can live past the day, they decide they're going to do the magic maxima, the power spell, essentially. Um, After killing Trask, because they need the blood of an enemy, and just some weird stuff. Like they end up cursing Gilbert after you revive them, and essentially, to live only as long as like the hourglass is full, and it's so ridiculous. Like, again, the blood of an enemy, which they get. Uh, they need Billy's head. Uh, like, just it's a weird list, and he has to collect it, and it's like, again, this guy, like, he did the his best customers dirty, and they turned him into the comic relief, and it's just like, really, that's what you got for this? All right, whatever. Anyway, so they trap Izzy and Becca in the cellar. They cast a spell to where they can't get out. But then there's potpourri that was accumulated earlier in the film, that can remove curses, and so Becca does her hands because her hands glow blue. She's apparently a witch. Her power has awakened, and it works. It's like nothing feels earned in this movie. Like, in the last one, they kind of had to figure some stuff out. How are they going to get from, here to here in this amount of time? How are they going to prevent them from getting his sister? This one, it just seems like everything is just sort of works out. The stars just align, and it just feels very boring and lazy. Like, the writing is lazy, and it's boring. It's not entertaining. Anyway, so they get out. Then that's where, there's a second song where they bewitch the citizens to help them find the mayor, but they're going so slow because they're dancing. So they fly out and they find Cassie's boyfriend, the estranged friend and this, I think, is after they essentially told her to her dad, because, again, they're trying to protect him because they're after the mayor, whatever. But yeah, it's just like, we're lucky that we found this guy by chance, the village idiot. Oh man, God, I just can't stand the boyfriend character. He's just so unlikable. Like, what was the point of him? Like, what? It's just, I don't understand. I don't understand. I'm sorry. I don't get it. This is not my type of humor. Uh, it just seems so teenage bullshit to me. Anyway, so he has the ingredients and discovers that Becca is also a witch. Oh wait, but before then, the sisters find them at the Trask estate or the Trask house, and then they get stuck behind salt because salt is a thing. It was mentioned in the first one, as it protected and prevented them from getting past it. But in this one, it was done way over the top, and once again, just lazy and uninteresting writing. Um, so anyway, they get stuck for a minute, and then the Roomba. I did like the Roomba part again because that happened the first one. Winnie was the only one to get a broom. She's the only one to get a broom in this movie. Last one, Sarah got a mop and Mary got a vacuum. And this time, Winnie gets the broom. Sarah gets. What the heck did Sarah get? I forget what she wrote, to be honest, but I know that Mary got Roombas, and that was actually kind of funny. Like I said, some of the humor did click with me, and I was just like, all right, we can go with this. Uh, anyway, so they get away. They go into the Forbidden Forest. And because the forest is a place where witches go to recharge their powers, and it makes them more powerful, and you know, and this is where I thought their house was, but apparently their house is, I don't know. The geography is a little messed up in this movie. Either that or else 30 years really did change. I don't know. um, but anyway, yeah, so they're in the movie, or they're in the forest. They're a little stronger. She can cast like blue lightning. And the other sisters, they also start to get lightning powers because, you know, Wendy was the most powerful because she had the book. The book liked her, so she was the most powerful. Mary was more the potions, the cooking, and she had super smell to smell any children that I guess ran away. Sarah again lured them with her voice, and yeah, so that was sort of their thing. And now you have this whole thing where Becca's now a witch. She states and she does a little bubble. Izzy rescues Cassie, who they get blood from her, and that's essentially how they're able to do it. And somehow Becca convinces the book that it doesn't have to, follow Winfred anymore because it doesn't like having the power spell do it cast, and whatever. It's and then they flee to get like, oh my gosh, it's so bizarre. Um, and so the warning is whoever casts it must give up whatever they cherish the most, and that's her sisters. So Winifred becomes the most powerful witch ever, and Mary and Sarah, they fade into dust. And then total flip of her character. She's just like, help me, children, help me, book. It's, and I get it, but it's such a jarring shift for all the terrible things that they've done throughout their life. And again, like, I get the whole sisterhood thing, but I mean, it seemed so forced in this movie. It's just like, what? Okay, whatever. But anyway, they can't save the sisters because, and the book does find a spell, but it takes her to them, in wherever horrible place they ended up because there were terrible people in life. God damn. You don't need to soften your villains all the time, Disney. They were great villains in the first one. They were terrible people. They murdered a child on screen and turned another teenager into a cat. They murdered another townsman, not on screen, but I mean, over affections. It's like, again, these are not good people. You don't need to make them good people. You don't need to soften them. Stop it. Stop doing this to your villains. Some people can just be bad. But yeah, anyway, so they go away. She's reunited with her sisters. And then Billy fades away because now Winnie's spells are going away because they're gone apparently for all time, maybe, hopefully. But there's another black flame candle, so who the hell knows at this point? We'll get into that in a sec. So Billy, he fades away, and now he goes to his eternal rest. And they decide to take the book and give it a new home with them. And then they walk off into the night, just like the Sanderson sisters. And I'm just like, did you really just do that? Did you really just play that reference like that? Oh my gosh. And then as they leave, a crow identical to the one that Mother Witch shaped it into flies overhead. Again, a sequel bait there too. You know, maybe she'll find them and teach them how to be evil and eat children. Like, I don't understand where they were going with this. It just seemed really weird. So anyway, that was it. There is a credit scene where it shows the second black flame candle number 2, and that's pretty much it, you know. So once again, a 4 out of 10. I like the sisters, and some of the humor did do it for me, but everything else was just kind of meh. It was pretty bad. Definitely not for me. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.